Namaskaram, welcome back to ChaatNChat. Na peru Josh.
Na peru Miguel.
Ee roju manam PUSHPA rendu chustunamu. This is PUSHPA 2, The Rule, Part 4.
Dun,
Yes,
dun, dun.
we will finish it here. This has been a long run. The reloaded version. If you've not watched Part 1, 2, or 3, I mean...
They just came for our review at the end.
Yeah, maybe. There is going to be a review at the end. But if you haven't watched all those other parts, then you can go check those out there in the... You can find their link in the description below this video, where you can also find the Hindi dub playlist. So if you're interested in watching this in Hindi, which we are not, we're watching this in Telugu because I find it fascinating. So that's what we're doing. Let's get back to it. But if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, sharing, a like button slap chayandi. And nobody is spared. Look at that.
Ooh, black jet coming in. Who's that?
Oh, I don't know his title. The MLA? I don't know.
నా తమ్ముడు కొడుకు బొగ్గారెడ్డి
ఏందన్నా
మా కోగటం వంశానికి ఒకే ఒక వారసుడు
Ah.
నేను నా తమ్ముడు సంపాదించిందంతా మట్కలో పోగొట్టాను మొన్నే రేప్ కేసులో జైలుకి వెళ్ళి బెయిల్ మీద బయటకు
Oh.
షారా
ఆ బిడ్డను తీసుకెళ్ళి ఉండేది ఎవరో కాదు మన ప్రతాప్ రెడ్డి గారు తమ్ముడు కొడుకంట
ఆడచ్చేదే
The central minister.
నువ్వు ఉంటావా నేనుంటానా షారా అంత ప్రాబ్లం అవుతా
అవునప్పా అదే కదా
Make him the central.
ఆడబెట్టి నిలిచేమన్నా నువ్వే సీఎం అన్న ఒక్కలో సీఎం పెట్టేదానికి మాంసం ముత్త కూడా దొరకదని చెప్పు ఆ ప్రతాప్ రెడ్డికి చొక్కలోదే.
And how can they be on the side of a rapist? Like, he's even convicted of it.
పాప పుష్పన్న తాలూకాని తెలియగా చేసినాము ఇదా ఇప్పుడే టీవీ చూసిన
What? At the program, it was well apparent. This dude's nuts. He didn't scare him. He asked for more money.
ఎవ్వరు ప్రాణాలతో మిగలకుండా నువ్వు చూసుకోసాము పోయిరా.
And you know, he's got to listen to his wife. She says don't spare anyone. No one's walking out of there. Hey, he's a furniture salesman.
తిరుపతిలో ఏమైనా ఆశ్రమం సేల్ నడుస్తాడా
ఎందుకురా
అన్న గుండు కొడితే అమల తమ్ముడు వస్తాడా
I was going to say that there would be a drop the sofa.
Right on their heads. What kind of hangout is that?
That's a kind of swank hangout.
Dude, it's so cool. Like, it's like a villain's lair,
Yeah,
man.
and all the money flying around is kind of...
Oh, there's the birds thing from the beginning of the movie. No birds were harmed. Dude, he's not even scared.
ఇప్పుడు వచ్చిన తెలిసిన
Don't use guns.
జాస్తి
Yeah, I don't need a gun.
You guys are asking for it.
I started
Like,
to say, you're going to bring out, you know, in an odd way. So I'll say something in review about this. Yep, you guys are about to find the wrath.
ఆయన చేస్తే పెనాల్టీ ఉంటారా
What? He was just saying. That's right, he was even blind too.
ఎత్తండి రండి పైకి
And if you're gonna show that you're gonna do something to the girl anyway, there's nothing gonna stop him from going crazy on you.
That woke him up. It's about to happen.
His eyes are going red. Oh my God. He's turned into a beast. Ripped his neck open. Like a serpent. That's why good dental hygiene is good.
Yeah,
Keep all of his teeth, right?
he brushed his teeth beforehand. He didn't use any mouthwash, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Kiss of death.
That guy's like, oh damn, what am I smoking?
Probably he's gonna take their axe too.
Oh,
Thank you.
The beast is fully released now.
Head smash.
She's having strange feelings about this. Like, I'm
I just
impressed,
wanted out.
scared, but also
Dude,
did
you
not know my uncle is capable of that. Oh.
Yeah. No birds injured.
Kind of like Kali, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like going on this rampage. With the...
Wow.
He's like, I'd rather just end it here. Oh. I thought he did it.
తూర్పుగా ఫోన్ ప్రతాప్ రెడ్డి అని మాట్లాడతారు.
Too late.
Whoa, that was intense.
But again, it's his fault and his brother's fault to just allow him to keep, I mean,
Oh, of course, he died too. We didn't get to see it, but he literally didn't spare anybody. What an idiot.
yeah.
He just took out an entire gang for them doing that, and then he comes in and pulls a gun to her head.
This is big time for him that, you know, he's like,
PUSHPA
And even after everything this guy has said and done, they're still respectful to him. Just shows that they really think of him as family despite the other way around.
నాయన ముందరే చెప్తా ఉంటా.
It's just so sad that it had to take such a huge ordeal for him to feel that way. that is what he's wanted this whole time. Is, although he's kind of made a big brand to be unbranded.
శ్రీ మొల్లేటి పార్వతమ్మ గారి శుభ ఆశీస్సులతో మీ అమ్మ పేరునే కొట్టించారు స్వామి శుభలేఖ. ఒక్క పేరు మర్చిపోయినారు స్వామి. శ్రీ మొల్లేటి చిన్న వెంకటరమణ.
What? That's it? Okay, good. I was like, I want to see more. I want to see where it goes. So sweet. Oh, you gotta take him down. Metal detector, at least.
Wheelchair guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I was
Well, they can add one more member to their evil villain, super villain group. Him. They're all making an appearance. That'll make 4 of them now, I think. What is it?
He couldn't die in the fire.
What? What was that?
Someone's new signature.
Oh no. It was him. Check out. He didn't. He's like, he was all crisped and burned.
Yep. The rampage. Oh, wow.
Based on the title of the 3rd movie, I'm assuming that a lot of his family died.
Yeah.
And he goes on a crazy rampage, not even caring about his empire, nothing like that. It's not about the money, not about the name, nothing like that. It's purely about revenge and seeking blood.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. Roller coaster.
What a twist at the end. Oh,
Yeah.
that was just...
Yeah, but I told you it was his new branding. Crispy Man. He's now Crispy Man. Now he's no longer a police officer. He is just a vigilante. Gun for hire, probably.
Gun for hire? He doesn't care about the money. He's
Well-
his only thing now is just to make PUSHPA as miserable and mad and crazy as he can. Did not end on a great note. I mean, the ending of the first movie, The Rise, he ended putting that guy in his place and making him a fool and all that, and then he got married at the end.
Right.
So it was all good vibes.
Right.
Here,
We left on bad vibes.
yeah, like wondering who survived. So if his wife and child don't survive,
That would
I could
be
understand
terrible,
how he
yeah.
would just go crazy killing in the next movie. So, all right, but let's dig into this one.
All right, so before I forget,
Sure.
I don't fully understand the one particular incarnation of the deity that was the female deity that he dressed up to in honor of her and did that whole dance before the bad guys showed up. For me, I interpreted it was almost like he was expressing how powerful he thought women were, okay? And the fact that in the persona of a woman, he basically laid out these guys and said, women are not the object of your evil doing and desires and so forth, okay? And again, at the very end, the fact that they redressed him up as that same persona a female persona, and he kicked butt.
Yeah.
So I just think that there was this really, for me, a very strong statement about him as being man enough to be able to say that women are just as strong and capable. So it was just a really interesting thing that was running through my mind as that was going on. And it didn't come up just the once in that one scene where they were having the big festival, but it came up again when he's saving her. Okay? And so I'm just like, that is very powerful, I thought.
So yes, I like what you're saying. And forgive me, everyone, if I'm completely wrong on this. I'm probably going to Google this after we're done filming this video. But there's a bit of a story, and I'm probably going to get maybe names wrong or something like that, or maybe the story wrong. So forgive me. But Shiva's wife, Parvati, I think she has multiple forms.
Right?
Right? And she has different, I think, based on like the mother and all sorts of stuff.
There's
Like
the
Ganesh's
there's
mom.
the mother, there's the warrior.
Yeah, well,
there's
so
the go ahead.
So Kali is when she turns into, like, she goes on a rampage. And that, I think, was the statue that they took the clothes from the second time. But the first time he dressed up, I believe that might have been a different form. But then she goes on a rampage and she has the skulls around her neck, which we saw like with him in the necklace. And then the one thing that stopped her rage is her believing that she killed Shiva. I think Shiva lays down at her feet and she stops, and then she thinks she killed him. And then it kind of like soothes the rage a little bit. So I wonder if that was maybe even a play where his niece got in the way, and then for a second, like, he almost killed her. And then that is what kind of like was like, okay, I'm not gonna kill, whoa.
Right.
You know, I could be completely wrong, and please really forgive me, because it's not really, and I know that each area kind of has different stories based on where you're at and whatnot and what you believe, but those are the stories that Dadu told me. So I think that maybe that is where they were going with it, is that this was like dressing up as like the female, like the ideal, and then when he was dressed up again, it was like the rampage of Kali.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everything you said still makes sense and aligns with, you know, what he did as that persona and what he was maybe representing. So
Well,
I thought
and
that
I
was
think
really
it ties into very much what he said, you know, do what my wife asks of me.
Yeah, I think it takes someone that's really confident in their masculinity, which he clearly is, to be able to be vulnerable with those that are close around him, because even the closest guys next to him, he's not afraid to show that he loves his wife, that he respects his wife. He'll do what his wife says. Like, he's not afraid to show that. Now, sure, then there is another persona that he puts forth to scare everybody, that he's like the big boss king, but in the house, he second to the queen.
Yeah.
You know, and that's very obvious. And especially when he broke down in tears with his wife, like when she said the baby's name, like, you know, and saying that I mean, that was really emotional. And I think that seeing those vulnerable moments of him after acting super strong and all that, I think is really like a deep character arc.
Yeah. Well, and it's bringing back his surname too.
Yeah.
And not only is he getting his surname, but his daughter's getting the surname too. So it's really, really nice. Very touching. I love the fact that, you know, he's able to basically be back with his family.
Up until the bomb exploded.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't know about that.
So
That's horrible.
short-lived.
I was really hoping that's where it was going to end, right before the bomb, and I didn't think there was going to be a third one. Now I know there's a third one, but I was like, oh, this is a nice way to like wrap it up. Or when he broke down crying and then it just ended there, I'm like, oh, that's kind of sweet, because then we get to make up our own ending of where it went.
Right.
But now we know that there's a third one, and it's called The Rampage, which makes me not so hopeful
makes it
for his
scared.
future with his family. That's terrible.
Yeah,
How do you even
yeah.
recover from
Oh,
that?
yeah,
It's going to be man on fire.
Yeah.
It's going to, like, anyway. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. A lot of people had mixed feelings about this movie. I saw it was almost a 50-50 split whether you thought this movie was good, bad. I mean, I really liked all of the songs. Actually, all of these songs are on playlists that I've listened to quite a few times. So it was interesting to see them here in the movie. And, you know, so I thought the songs were good. Now, I think when people maybe were upset, what I saw in some comments is saying that they didn't do justice to Fafa's character. And part of me is like, okay, sure. Like, I got where they were going with that. But then also they gave him, though, this big teaser arc at the very end of the movie, which means that he's turning into a supervillain. So did they not like that? So I guess I'm a little confused on what people didn't like about this, because you know going into this that it's a little over the top. I expected that. You know, so in the beginning when he was fighting like the Yakuza gang or whoever they were, I was into it because I knew there was going to be a wire work. I knew there was going to be over-the-top action. Like, I kind of expect that. You know, going into this movie, I expected it. And it's fun if you just let your mind go and just be like, oh, I'm totally cool with him, like, flailing around on the ground like a snake and still able to, like, bite people's necks and throw them with, like, his teeth. Sure, man. Like, that's the universe that we're in, and I'm cool with that.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
And I mean, it's just a creative, imaginative action scenes.
Right.
And it's like something that, you know, maybe when I was a kid playing with action figures and stuff that I would do. I'd be like, whoa, and like throw this dude over there and stuff. You know, it's all the imagination. And seeing it play out on screen almost like an anime.
Yeah.
The live action anime, I think is kind of cool, and it's unique. Not everything has to be grounded in real. And yeah.
So I guess one of the elements that I think I could see this element bothering a few people in that, is Pushpa good or is he bad? You know, or is he somewhere in the middle and he really toes that line?
Yeah.
That was my feeling in the first one.
Yeah.
And in this one, I really now have gone over to ultimately he is good. He is looking out for his family, his community. He is wanting to make sure that his vision of what is right in the world is going on. And I think for the most part, it is to the benefit of all of those around him. His workers are paid well. He takes care of them. He does what he needs to do for his family. And when he sees someone manipulating the system in a bad way, and particularly if they're in his way, he goes about making a change.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, there's a lot of ways he could have gotten rid of the police department. I got to hand it to him. Paying them off all the way through their retirement.
Yeah.
It's like brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
it was really smart.
Okay? And I could see how, again, people are like going, but that's just being, you know, a bad guy pushing his will through and everything. And I'm like going, really, as a bad guy? If you ask all those people, they're all going, I made out pretty good. My family and I are doing quite well. Yeah. Okay? And so it's like, all right, yeah, he's doing things in a very unorthodox way. And it has an element of, you know, the organized crime sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of good. And I mean, you could almost swap this out and say Pushpa and the syndicate and all of this is very much like the mafia in the US. Mafia, oftentimes people say, mafia takes care of everybody in the family. Make sure that everybody is employed. Make sure that families are all taken care of.
Just don't get in their way.
Just don't get in their way. Okay? And so you kind of have to, it's an interesting moral dilemma or question that I think the movie is posing to people. Yeah. Just how far will you let someone go? You normally would say, oh, they're a criminal. I don't want to get involved with them. But how far would you be willing to go on the ride with them? Okay? Now these other ones, you can see the policeman, he's just going down the toilet bowl. Fafa is just going down the toilet bowl here. He's getting worse and worse and worse, okay? And all these other characters, you know, be it the wife, be it the former syndicate president, so forth, they're all becoming even more evil as it's going along.
I think it comes back to the whole branding and uniform, right? And that's a big, like, thing that's been encompassing the first movie. This movie is about the brand, and they talk about sometimes the surname and all that sort of stuff, the clothing, the uniform, and just because someone's wearing a certain uniform doesn't make them exactly that person. Like a cop, what does the cop's uniform represent? Well, ask like 100 people and you'll get like maybe 75 different answers.
Right.
And I think it's making a statement on that. So exactly, is someone good? If they're wearing a certain thing, does that make them this thing? So
Right.
if he's a smuggler, is he a smuggler? But I think it all comes back to what are they doing? And if you talk to an environmentalist,
Of course, they're doing really
the
bad.
deforestation of like sandalwood, maybe is there a reason? Is sandalwood so expensive because it's more rare?
Is it hard
And
to grow?
well,
Can't
and
you,
there's a
can't
finite
you start
amount.
farms? I
Well,
mean, I
yeah,
don't
but
know.
that's what you would do. But I'm sure it'd take forever to grow
Yeah,
like
maybe.
one of those trees. Like think
yeah.
about how long trees take to grow.
Yeah.
And it's a finite amount of how much sandalwood there is.
Right.
I'm sure. I don't know. I haven't Googled anything. I haven't researched, but I'm assuming that it's restricted and protected
Right.
because, and it's so expensive because there's like it's a finite resource.
Right.
And so when you're having somebody do that, now like another movie could be where it's from a cop's perspective that they're trying to stop the like kind of molestation of the country of this precious resource that makes
right.
it unique to India.
Right.
And so you could do it from there, but then again, the cop that came into the scene, the very opening scene in the first movie where we met Shekhar is he killed a dude.
Right.
For being in the back seat of the car and not giving enough space to like put his seat back, right? I mean, he killed the dude for that.
Right. Right.
It's
so
started him
So
off
it
as
kind of
bad guy.
it's kind of the whole and a lot of times it's like good and evil. Where you fall on the spectrum, and it's like good right now, bad right now, good right now, bad not. You know, and it's like where are these characters, and they're constantly changing. And again, I think it's challenging me in particular. I'll speak for myself. It challenges me. Is he being good? Is he doing good right now?
Well, we're rooting for him.
And,
I think through the
I
whole
am
movie,
rooting
we
for
root
him now.
so.
I'm totally Team PUSHPA. PUSHPA here. But yeah, it's like it's an interesting series.
So it was a long movie, the longest movie that we've seen, but I gotta say, it didn't feel like it.
it didn't feel like it.
We did take a break. So we took
Yeah.
like a pretty healthy break in the middle during the interval, which may have helped, but we've also seen
had
other
lunch.
movies. Yeah, we've seen other movies where we've taken a break in the middle and we came back and it still felt like a long movie.
Yeah.
So
I think that there was one of our measures is, was there any places that it was dragging? I don't feel as though there were places that weren't dragging. I didn't feel as though there were a lot of much places or many places or any places really that you could clip and you could say, if they remove this, would it rearrange the story? No, I didn't really feel like that. Everywhere that something was going on, it was leading to something else and carrying the story forward and giving it the roundness so that you understood what was going on.
So I need to remind you though, this had 40 extra minutes of footage that the theatrical version did not.
Wow.
So you guys let us know definitely in the comments what scenes were extra in this
Yeah.
because I mean I liked every bit and I'm like, what would they have cut out of this? I don't know. I don't know what they would have cut out. So that would be interesting to find out. Also, I want to apologize. I don't know the government system that well. I don't know what titles are. So CM, like a chief minister versus the central minister. So the central minister is above the chief minister, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And I guess that's who the kidnapper's uncle was, the central minister.
Yeah. And again, this goes back to that whole good bad because it's like going, you would think that he would be good, but he's actually quite evil. Okay.
Well, when you find out that you have to buy positions,
You
like
have
that.
to buy
And he also
positions.
said he buried everyone on his way up. So it's like, how many skeletons does that guy have in his closet? Yeah. So we have to rate it. And honestly, we probably should have looked back. I'm curious what we rated the first one. Did I like the first one more than this? Let me ask you. Did you like the first one more than this one?
I'm just remembering some of the scenes and so forth. I actually kind of think I kind of liked the first one a little bit better because I loved the cunningness of getting things through the system. Okay, and that intrigued me. I liked it here too. That wasn't relied on as much. You didn't see that and that whole manipulation of the whole entire project.
Yeah.
But we had enough of it in style that I liked it. But I actually think I liked the first one a little bit better. And I can't remember what I gave it. I maybe gave it an 8. I think I gave it an 8.
It sounds right.
Yeah, and I'm going to give this one an 8 as well. So I liked it. I thought it was very, very good. I also like that we got to see more of his romance story. Okay, I like that quite a bit. And again, to that point, also the whole little bit of being so vulnerable and playful with his wife and everything. I thought that was really great.
What's interesting though is how much the wife was in response, or maybe more. So because we don't really see that in movies, and I think that was maybe a risk of this movie that they took, is because think about how many movies we've watched and how many of them would the wife say, careful, I'm getting feelings.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah. It's always the guy, I'm getting
Yeah,
feelings.
it's always the guy, like
always
chasing the girl, right?
Yeah, yeah,
well, in this, the girl was, and I think that it's okay.
Again, that
because
kind of
like
ties in with
we're all human.
Yeah.
And so women are just as human as men and like have feelings. Like guys and girls have feelings.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay. I don't know. I'm a guy, so I'm just saying. Like, but I think seeing a movie like this is a little bit refreshing in the fact that they showed her in the relationship as much as him. And it's something that I think was different than we haven't really seen in a movie before.
The more, I mean, there's the bit of, I think, where women can be very seductive and alluring, but not forward moving in action or words. And definitely she was much more.
Yeah.
And I think that was great.
I think I like the first one a little bit more too, like you, maybe for different reasons, because I'm a huge fan of origin stories. Like, so whenever I think about comic books that were made into movies and all that, I always like the first one more because I love to see the rise. Like, the rise in heroism is one of my favorite plots from like maybe the roots up sort of origin story where you start out like as an underdog and seeing somebody work his way up to get somewhere is actually pretty thrilling and exciting and inspiring to see that somebody can pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, right? And so where did he come from? He came from a kid that literally had no surname, that was pushed down every chance that they got to push this little kid down.
Yeah.
And yet he didn't let it keep him down. He's like, I'm going to prove that I don't need a surname.
Exactly.
I'm going to go and do it all on my own. And he did. And he did it through his own wits and skill and cunningness. I think through the first movie, it was just very well done. Now, in the second movie, his character wasn't, I mean, he was cool, he had the style, all of that, but he wasn't as relatable. I think because he acted throughout the entire movie as if he was the man, the main man, the big Don, all of that, where he already had the money and he just kind of was pushing the pieces around on the board. Where in the first movie, he was one of the pieces and he was trying to become the hand moving pieces.
The one thing where he literally figured out the cops are coming, cut them all down and let them roll all to the river. He was there on the ground, you know. Now
doing it.
Now
he
he's
was on
not,
the phone.
Now he's on the phone.
He's the one pulling the strings.
Yeah.
In the first one, he was one of the strings. And now in the second one, he's the one pulling the strings, which I think is totally fair because let's face it, this one is called The Rule.
He's the president.
Yeah, and so I do appreciate this movie for what it is, and I expected that. So maybe people expected him to be more like he was in the first movie,
Right.
But I think it's an overall arcing of the character where in the first movie he's one way, this movie is another way. In the third movie, we're probably going to see like a lot more action and killing and all that sort of stuff. Maybe. I mean, that's what I'm guessing by calling it the Rampage.
Well, Rampage can be lots of things. You can go on a rampage and take someone out.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen some interesting mind games. So, you know.
So I'm going to rate this an 8 as well. I also forgot what I gave the first one, but I am judging this one on what I just saw, and I think it deserves at least an 8. I know you guys, I mean, it's going to be 50-50. We might get thrashed in the comments for this, but I don't mind. And I kind of like mindless action movies sometimes, but I didn't think this was so mindless because it still had an interesting plot and there were more political games going on, and I kind of enjoy those, even though I really don't understand India's politics at all. Maybe before the third one comes out, we should have like a crash course on Indian politics and civics.
Maybe we should scan YouTube for some of those videos and maybe see. If
There
we
probably
can.
is one
There's
to,
gotta be one
to
or two.
describe like all the positions and like what all the positions are in charge of.
Yeah.
So because it might help us it will definitely help us understand these movies a lot more.
Yeah.
But that is a honest opinion. That's what I feel about this movie. I didn't think it was a dumpster fire, as some people said it
Oh,
was.
wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But they said it was hot trash. And I'm just like, I don't get it, because I was expecting, maybe it's because going into the movie I expected the worst from the comments, but then expecting the worst and then being happily surprised that it wasn't the worst made me feel better about it.
Yeah.
I also hardly ever have high expectations for any movie. I mean, when I go into a movie, I literally try to watch the movie
Yeah,
to
me
see if
too.
I'm entertained, and I'm a pretty easy judge if I'm entertained or not.
And I've gone to lots of different movies of all different types where people said, "Oh, it was terrible," and I'm like, and I ask them why they think it was terrible, and they tell me all sorts of stuff, and then I get in there and I start watching it, and I'm like, well, I kind of see why they might have thought it was terrible. I actually like it, so everyone has their different flavors and tastes, and sometimes you can just go in and have a bad day and have a bad movie at the same time because you had a bad day. So it is what it is.
Well, I'm having a good day. And on that note, thank you so much for watching with us. And please let us know in the comments what you thought. What would you rate it? Were you one of the ones that thought it was complete trash? Or were you the ones that thought it was awesome fire? I'm very curious to know. And if you haven't already and you like these videos, please consider subscribing, sharing the video. A like button slap chayandi.